Wow, someone hasn't had their morning coffee. Good morning. It is 6 a.m. in the bakery and today is cake day. Well, to be honest, every day is cake day, but Fridays and Saturdays are always really busy for cake pickups because everyone celebrates on the weekend. So my job today is to decorate all of the cake pickups for today so that we are ready to go for when people arrive to pick up their cake. Got my BROOKI apron on. I'll leave a link below if you guys want to shop the BROOKI apron. You can now purchase them and we ship them around the world. We also have some really cute, oh, I'm going to show you. We also have some new merch. So we've got the Baked as Baby cap. This one's really popular and it says BROOKI on the back. And then this is our new hat style, which I love. It's the BROOKI logo on the front. And then on the back, it says Bite Me. And it has this cute little cookie. Is that not the cutest thing ever? But yeah, I'll leave a link below if you guys want to shop our new merch. Okay, so welcome to a day in my life as a bakery owner. The first thing I do in the morning is set up the pastry case. So I'm going to put the cupcakes out that I have made already the night before. Yes, we do ice our cupcakes the night before. I think cake tastes better on day 2. So that's something I've been doing since I opened the bakery, and I'm sorry if you find it weird. I do not find it weird. Now with that out of the way, it's time to get all of my equipment ready. I've got my offset spatula and then my cake scrapers. I've got a big one and then a small one for the sides and the mini cakes. And then I start multitasking because I also need to be baking cookies in the background. That is our #1 best-selling item in the bakery. So although my job is to make all the cakes for the day, I'm also keeping the ovens going in the background to make sure that we have lots of cookies ready when we open the doors at 8 a.m. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that I don't have help by the time everyone else gets in, which is usually about an hour or an hour and a half after I start early in the morning on cake day. Then they can take over the baking. So I've got Queenie behind me who is traying up all of the cookies in her section, and then I am straight away moving on to my cakes because I like to have these done as early as possible so that it's not stressful when people arrive to pick up their cakes in the bakery. That being said, I still am putting cookies in and out of the oven because it is a tiny little bakery. It is 41 square meters, which is really not very big. And at least half of that space is for customers to come and check out, you know, what we have on sale. So only probably 20 square meters of kitchen space. It's not a lot of floor space. So it's actually easier for me to still keep putting things in and out of the oven so that no one is coming back where I'm making cakes, especially when I'm focused on icing cakes. The last thing I want is for someone to knock into me from behind and then I knock someone's cake. So it's always just easier to keep the 2 stations separate when we have 2 people working in the kitchen for the day. Here you can see I'm starting off with my pink cakes first. I've got the baby pink on the left and the hot pink on the right. These are the most popular colors that we make all the time. And as I started the video, I showed you how I dropped this crumb coated cake. I picked it back up and surprisingly it was undamaged. Okay, so with that small win under my belt for the day, I have a bit more confidence and I get straight back to icing my cakes. So I want to start with the lightest colors because it's just easier for me to keep coloring the buttercream as I go. And then I'm only coloring what I need, so I'm not left with all this excess buttercream at the end. So I'm going to start with the lightest colors, and then I can turn that baby pink, any leftover baby pink, into hot pink, and then I can turn that hot pink into red, and then just kind of keep going through the colors. That way there is as little waste as possible, and I'm always aiming for no waste in the bakery no matter what task I'm doing. Okay, so after I have done the baby pink cakes, I'm going to work on to the hot pink cakes, and then I'm going to go red, and then I'm going to go into the blue family and green family. We also do yellow, purples, and then we also have like some pastel colors. So instead of purple, we have lavender. Instead of yellow, we have like a lemon color. And then another really popular color lately has been our black heart cakes. I'm so surprised by how popular these are, but I always leave them to last because no matter what, the black icing just gets all over everything, and somehow, some way, I always manage to get black icing, buttercream icing on my apron, on my chef jacket, on myself. It's just one of the hardest colors to get out of anything. So I always leave that to the end and take extra caution. And then also I know that that black color is not going to contaminate any of the other colors by getting, you know, like any residue on the offset spatulas or the cake scrapers, which can happen because the black is just, it is prone to getting on everything. I was not kidding when I said that pinks are the most popular colors for cakes in the bakery. This has been the same since day one. Everyone just loves the pink colors. I think also it's synonymous with a heart-shaped cake. And then also a lot of the people who are ordering these cakes, it's either for like a sweet 16th birthday or a 21st birthday or maybe a bridal shower. Lots and lots of different reasons why people order our cakes, but pinks are definitely the most popular color. They also take the longest, so it's always handy to start with that color first because you can kind of get through a lot of the cakes before moving on to any of the other colors. Here you'll notice this cake is actually a round shape. So Lambeth cakes are typically, like most popular would be the heart-shaped cakes, but then also really popular is our circle round-shaped cakes. And I think that's become more popular for when people have already maybe ordered a heart cake and then the next year they want something a little bit different, but they still love the customizable colorways and different add-ons that you can put on, the maraschino cherries. And then I think the reason why these cakes have endured so long and they are so popular is because of the customizable message. So we have an edible message that will go on top at the end, which I'll show you guys towards the end of this video. But I think the round cakes are becoming more and more popular. And then we also do multiple sizes of these, and all of our cakes actually go up in size instead of out in size, which we find really handy just as a way to limit how many different cake board sizes that we have. We only have the 6 inches and the 8 inches. And then they go on their respective cake boards. So a 6-inch cake will go on an 8-inch cake board, and an 8-inch cake will go on a 10-inch cake board. And all of our heart-shaped cakes sit around the 9 inches in diameter. And then as you add the size, they go up, and then we just have taller box sizes. This is one of my favorite colorways for today. I always have favorites. I know I shouldn't, but I love the combination of the hot pink and the bright orange. We do have an apricot color for people who prefer more of like a pastel orange, but the apricot looks really great with the hot pink. And then I think this one has a yellow message on top. We'll find out at the end, but I just love the different ways that people choose to customize and decorate these cakes. Okay, I'm going to pop that one away and now start to move on to the orange families. And that's why I left that last cake was a hot pink base, but it had the orange buttercream. And then any of the leftover buttercream from that previous cake, I just added some more natural and then ended up with this nice apricot pastel color. So that's another way that I like to organize my cakes in the most logical way, just for the least amount of extra work and then absolutely the least amount of waste, so that all of those little bits of leftover color just get used in that next cake. And I just keep going and going and adding to it as I go. So now I'm moving on to this apricot heart cake. This is a medium or a large size, so you'll notice it's a bit taller than the other heart cakes. And so once the sides of the cake are perfect, just scraping off the top, which is always important to have it looking perfect because that is where people take the most photos, is of the top of the cake, because that's where the message is. I do actually have an online heart cake masterclass. If you want to learn from me, I go through every single tip that I use, all the different ways that we get that really perfect glossy buttercream. It does include the recipes as well for our cakes, and then also our super glossy, we call it the gloss buttercream, and it is actually just an American buttercream. We don't use any Swiss meringue buttercream, and it's my favorite, absolute favorite buttercream recipe. So if you want access to that, I will be sure to leave a link below. It's not essential. You can learn a lot from me here just watching the YouTube videos, but if you want a slow down process and to see step by step, that's a really great way to upskill, and then you can start making these cakes and maybe selling them yourself. Okay, adding in the orange shells, I call it, these little open star tips, the little piping, and then this one has maraschino cherries,
which is honestly, I think it makes the cakes. I love when people add the additional piping and the cherries, but some people like it a bit more simple. So it just kind of depends on everyone's personal preference. As you can see, we're now moving on to the red cakes. So I'm just going through the color family to the darker and darker shades. And as I said, always just reusing that buttercream. And then I like to keep a little bit of extra on the side because most of the red cakes have baby pink piping. I don't know why it's so popular, but it is. And then we always make sure to keep some of the plain buttercream as well on the side, never coloring all of the buttercream that I have because it just changes all the time. And then I'm also keeping a KitchenAid going in the background, which is constantly beating buttercream because I like to use my buttercream super fresh. It's when it's like the most flexible and glossy and hasn't kind of sat there and like gained any air bubbles or anything. So it's just the nicest way to do it. So I'm always keeping buttercream going on in the background. And then this one is actually a Tiffany blue color. And then you can see the apricot piping, which was really fun because I haven't really seen this colorway before. But then Tiffany blue, sometimes you will get a day where you do 10 or 15 Tiffany blue cakes, and some days you'll do none at all, but it always looks really nice, I think with the cherries especially, because they really pop on different colors like the Tiffany blue, and I really like the addition of the apricot. I thought that was really cute. This next Tiffany blue color is way more popular. We do a lot of Tiffany blue cakes with the white piping or the natural colored piping. I don't know why it's so popular, but I guess it's I think it's like quite classical and it's like a little pop of color, but it's maybe not too much. So really popular to have the Tiffany blue base with the white or natural buttercream. And then a lot of people who choose this colorway always like to do the additional piping to go for that extra vintage look as well. If you've ever wondered how long it takes me to ice a cake like this, once I've crumb coated, it's actually a really quick process. It can take around 6 or 7 minutes per cake. It depends if that cake has additional piping and cherries and kind of how many different customizations they have. But once you get used to making these cakes, you really can decorate super quickly. And I think I've learned a lot under pressure because there have been instances where someone has come to pick up their cake and that cake doesn't exist and you immediately have to find a solution for them. We had a little bit of issues with our cake ordering app early days, but now luckily we have figured most of that out and refined our systems. But don't feel bad if you make mistakes as a cake decorator. It is, honestly, it's so common, and I think especially the more orders that you're doing, the more room for error. So we always find a solution and make sure to just keep powering through and stay positive. And here you can see all of the cakes that are ready for collection today. That's a lot of cakes and did take pretty much the entire day. And then of course the very last job for all of these cakes is to put on the messages. The best way to do this is to leave the fondant letters to dry out first and let the cake set in the fridge before adding those messages so that you can easily maneuver those letters around.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and let me know in the comments what you guys want to see next.